coming and being here. This is an important day because we're going to hear right from the experts. So first of all, I'd like to present to you our Shadow Minister of Justice and Attorney General, the Crown Prosecutor. When I say he's a prosecutor, let me tell you, you don't want to go up against this man. Give it up for Larry Brock. Representing the riding of Oxford and our Conservative Member of Parliament, Arpan Khan. Everybody knows this guy, right? The member of Vaughan Woodbridge. We also have with us today, we're Vincent Ho, Richmond Hill South. Member of Parliament, Michael Mama from Unionville. Thank you very much for coming.
And as always, good to get the crowd fired up. Lots of energy. We're so grateful to have you as part of our team. And thank you to everyone for coming today. As many of you are well aware, we face a very serious issue in this country with respect to crime. We have a multi-pronged issue here in Vaughan. We've had record numbers of shootings. We've seen increases in home invasions, carjackings. You've all seen it, you've all heard it. We've heard your concerns at the door, what we run into in the community. Over and over again, you all tell us what a serious concern this is. This is why we wanted to put this event on today. Because as far as we see it, there's the fact of justice and the fact of the crimes that are going unpunished and the perpetual release of repeat violent offenders onto our streets that are committing a disproportionate amount of crime. And then there's the public perception of justice. And many people are starting to believe that governments and officials aren't doing enough to keep them and their families safe. Many people say we no longer recognize the community that we grew up in. This is why today we have both MP Arpan Khan and our Shadow Minister for Justice, Larry Brock, here with us. Arpan introduced the Jail Not Bail Act. He's about to tell you all about it. I jointly seconded that bill because I know what a key issue crime is for our community. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce MP Arpan Khan.
Well, good afternoon, Vaughan. It's great to be back. I always say, Vaughan is one of the best places to be. Great people, strong MPs in the York region, but there's something going on in Vaughan that is troubling. And Michael mentioned that very, very briefly. Vaughan used to be a safe community before. Vaughan was very safe. I grew up not too far from here. I was born and raised in Brampton, and everyone used to look at Vaughan and say, wow, that's where we want to raise our kids. That's where we want to raise our family. That's where I want to send my kids to school. Vaughan was the gold standard for a strong community. But in the last 10 years, we have started to see chaos in our communities. Michael just mentioned some of those points. Extortions are up. Daylight shootings are up. Home invasions are up. Carjackings are up. We've heard many stories in the last few years. Some of them that have really shaken our community here in Vaughan. When I came to introduce my bill, the Jail Not Bail Act, we did it here in Vaughan. We all got together because these great MPs have been advocating for you in Ottawa. And we met with victims and their families. And yes, crime has a direct consequence on the individual it's affecting, but it also affects the families, the strangers, the neighbors, the community at large. And we spoke with these victims and their families, and we have some today, and they'll be sharing their remarks in a few minutes. People are scared. They're anxious. They're nervous. The communities they loved are no longer there. And we asked the Liberals for relief, for solutions, for ideas. For 4 long years, our team's been fighting this. Larry's been leading the charge. 4 long years. They said, there's no problem. Everything's okay. Bill C-75 did not cause any problems. Bill C-48 helped with tightening bail law. That was absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And when we have an 8-year-old lying in bed in his mom's arm, right before school the next morning, being shot and killed by a stray bullet, the system's broken. When you have Bailey McCourt, who's heard of Bailey McCourt's story out in Kelowna? Bailey McCourt was a victim of domestic abuse. She left her ex-partner after he assaulted her, threatened her. She did everything right, went to the police station. Her killer was charged. He was found guilty. He was actually convicted of the indictable offenses. But he was let out on bail while he was waiting sentencing. 3 hours later, he found her 4 kilometers away, rammed his van into her car, pulled her out, took a hammer, and killed Bailey. And Bailey's story is not just a one-off. It's not. We had Bailey's family come to Ottawa a few weeks ago, and we met with them. You could see in their eyes the pain that they'll never get their daughter back. Bailey's kids still think Bailey's coming home today. That was the first time I actually cried in a very long time. We all sat in my office, we all cried. The innocence of our community is no longer there. And the reason why we brought the Jail on Bail Act was that we were not getting the answers we needed. We begged the government to reverse their soft on crime, catch and release laws, yet they ignored it. This could happen to any one of us. Any one of us could be facing these problems. So our team got to work. We researched, we traveled the country, did a lot of tours, about 4.5 months. We put together a comprehensive bail solution to fix the Liberal broken system. Very simple, very common sense, contrary to what the Liberals say, a plan that will actually put repeat violent offenders, those that keep terrorizing our communities, behind bars. The Liberals brought in something called the principle of restraint. Larry will talk about that in more details, but it pretty much allowed the accused to be released at the earliest opportunity on the least restrictive conditions, and they kept releasing them over and over again. My bill gets rid of that. We repeal the principle of restraint, and instead, we introduce a principle of public safety to make sure that Canadians feel safe in their homes again. We tighten the bail test to make sure that those with long histories, that judges will make sure they look at their history. How many offenses have they committed? How many times have they gone out and terrorized their communities? We looked at strengthening post-bail for those that are waiting sentencing. We looked at strengthening the conditions that are being put on individuals. Very, very common sense solutions. Yet we tried fast tracking it. Because every single day that a day goes by, 1,600 violent crimes happen in a single day. You do the math, it's about 1 per minute. So 5 may have already happened since I started talking. We tried fast tracking it. The Liberals, what did they do best? They voted against it. They voted against fast tracking it. Why? Because it was not their bill. You know, it's politics. And sadly, politics is causing chaos in our streets and we're losing lives. And that is why we're here today. To ask you for your support, to answer any questions you might have, but also to let you know there is a better path forward. That we can get back to those once, you know, that safe streets were not a fantasy anymore. That is possible to come back to our country where you could raise your kids without fear, where seniors can go for walks again at their parks. That is possible. And to share more details about our Jail Not Bail Act and also to compare what the Liberals have introduced, please join me in welcoming my good friend, Larry Brock.
Thank you, Arthur. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my absolute pleasure to be here to address this ongoing crisis, to hear directly from you. I know Vaughan has suffered a reputational hit. As Arben has said, it was once a jewel, a place that was beloved, a place that people sought out to raise their families, to live in peace. But everything has been disrupted as a result of this recent crime wave. So, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Firstly, show of hands, who are sick and tired of waking up every day reading or hearing about another significant crime story with someone out on bail? Pretty much unanimous. Who feels less safe today than they did 10 years ago? Pretty much unanimous. Do we have anybody in the room that lives in a liberal-held riding? Okay, a few of you. So the takeaway that we're going to ask of you at the end of this is you speak to those liberal MPs and you put your voice loud and clear that you want relief now. Not months from now, you want relief now.
Trudeau was the author of this tragedy. However, two other parties supported him to do this. So tell me that Mr. Trudeau is the only one at fault.
Okay, there's a lot of layers to your question, but you started off by saying we voted, opposition members voted in favor of C-75. That was before my tenure. This was 2019. So I can't speak to the strategy as to why the Conservatives voted in favor at that time, but I can tell you from a former Crown Attorney perspective, C-75 wasn't just about the principle of restraint. It was an ominous bill filled with a number of improvements and problems to deal with in the criminal code. So there were aspects to 75 that actually benefited Crown prosecutors in their ability to effectively prosecute sex assault crimes. What was wrong, an additional problem with C-75 was that it eliminated the ability of Crown and defense to challenge prospective jurors before they are chosen to try a particular case. So now it is left to a judge to determine whether or not they can perform their duties without bias or whether there's any residual concerns. So those are a couple of examples. So again, we did vote, yes, we did vote in favor of it. Probably buyer's remorse right now, given the impact that the principle of restraint is having on Canadian society. But on C5, which eliminated mandatory minimum penalties, we proudly voted against that. We knew that wasn't the right recourse for this particular country, and proof is now in the pudding.
Problem. And a lot of the crimes being committed to GTA are by non-citizens. What is the jail, non-jail legislation gonna do to individuals who are not Canadian citizens and committing crimes? We're extremely soft on crime, and it's very bad, and we're extremely soft on deportations. We see it as an American thing. It should be a world thing. If you do a crime in a country that you're not a citizen in, you're not welcome. Leave.
Systems in this country. The whole world envies Canada's system. We brought in the brightest, we brought in the best, and we had a country where we all unite as Canadians, put away our differences, didn't care about our battles from home, lived here as one strong Canadian family. Now that has changed. Since Justin Trudeau came in, they want to play vote bank politics. They allow people with criminal history to be allowed into our country.
Their religion would not allow their son to be psychoanalysis, or whatever the term is. So they refused to let him get treatment. The day before this event happened, he was suspended from school for bringing a knife and brandishing a knife at school, and he was let out. He was sent home. The police were not called in that situation. They weren't told about it. And they even sent him home with the same knife that he murdered that woman with the next day. I've since, there's not really a question, I've since learned that the very next day, the 14-year-old boy was sent home on house arrest in the same home that let this happen. I want to know what can we do about that, because, you know, like this woman over here mentioned, the young offenders is a major issue, but it stems from home too. Parents are allowing some of these things to happen. If you're under your parents' control, how can we make sure that parents are accountable to make sure that these things don't happen?
So I'm going to take this one on. I will tell you this, and I was just as surprised as you are. So a couple of years ago, we had a witness testify. There was a woman that was being continually abused by her spouse. Not just her, but her children. And I asked the simple question, why did you wait so long to report it to the police? And her response to me, which totally took me by surprise, was it was a cultural thing. It was allowed in their country. This is Canada. That law does not, you know, you come here, you live by our laws. So I asked her if she went to her family, who did she seek out for help? Her story to me really affected me because she said she did go to her father. And her comments from her father were, I would rather carry you out by 6 than have my son-in-law be tried by 12. So I think it's something as Canadians that we have to understand that Canada has rules, Canada has laws, and those laws have to be enforced. We can only enforce them if we have the support of the individuals of this country. Every single one of us has the responsibility to make sure that when we see something, then we gotta report it. Because if we don't report it, we're just as guilty. We can't walk away. We have to do something. And that's what the Conservatives are trying to do. The Conservatives want to go backstory there to make sure that we take care of public safety. And right now, that's not happening.
This is our daughter, Darian Henderson Bellman. She was 25 years old when her life was taken from us. And I would like to share our story. Thanks to everyone here today in support of the Conservative Party for Change for Broken Justice. I'll start again. Thanks to everyone here today in support of the Conservative Party for change in our broken justice system. Together we can make a difference. Our daughter Darian Henderson Bellman was murdered in July of 2020, shot multiple times because Bill C-5 and a broken system allowed the murderer out on bail every time. 2 to 3 days after arrest on multiple illegal handguns, drugs, assault, driving offenses, and breach every time. After 3 court dates pushed forward, we just got a 4th date for the first-degree murder trial that will be held at this point September 21st, 2026, which is 6 years, 3 months after our daughter's death. It is so wrong and unfair. The broken system pressure that is put on the victims waiting for justice to take place. The Conservatives' jail not bail did not get the support. When I watched the vote in Parliament on jail not bail that was voted down, it was heart-wrenching. Everyone who voted no should be ashamed of themselves.
Exactly.
We wonder, because of the no vote, how many more people will die, children abused, home invasions, carjackings, etc. will take place because of the catch and release of these criminals.
First of all, thank you for having this. Obviously, everybody here, I believe, is conservative support. I lived in the city of Vaughan for 32 years. What I'm seeing in the last 10, like the gentleman said, is a total mess. To the point that I almost want to move out of Canada completely. Florida is a beautiful place to stay. I don't want to do that. I I have a solution which is better than jail, not bail. That solution is punishment. Implement punishment. Make it clear what the punishment is for stealing a car, for breaking into a home with a gun, maybe killing somebody.
No more house arrest.
We need.
You're right.
That's the punishment.
We need more mandatory minimum penalties, and we need the punishment to send that appropriate deterrent message that crime does not pay in this country.